Go through the leader introduction, just to give you guys some ideas and get you a bit more educated on what's happening as far as particularly on the focus on the den leader side of things, and also assistant den leaders. So we can go through that. So guys, stop me if you've got any questions. It's a small group, so no worries. We can go through these things. So I'll just go through Cub's intro, a bit of resources. So just a quick intro is the history side. So the Scouts, I'm not sure if you guys know, but the Scouts was actually founded in 1908 by a British guy called Robert Baden-Powell when he wrote a book called Scouting for Boys. He was actually a British military guy, and basically he thought there was a lot of opportunities to educate the boys on how they could actually improve things. So he actually, at that time, he was teaching about camping, observations, deduction, woodcraft, all the great and inventive things. But I think one of the key things that he did was he actually brought this to a lot of fun for the kids, so through inventive games. Then Scouting actually came to China in 1912. And so it's actually got quite a long history in China. But the Cubs itself, so Scouting is really sort of for the 11 to 18-year-olds. Whereas Cubs was originally founded in 1916 in the UK, and then this was referred to as the Cub Scouts in the USA. So basically for boys and girls, well, predominantly in that time, boys below 11 years old. And then Pac-12 itself was actually formed in the 1930s. So if you'll see that actually on our shirts we have various packs. So Pac-12 is one of the first packs globally. So we've got quite a lot of history behind that from the 1930s in Shanghai. It kind of got depleted, but then was restarted again around 2006. So there's quite a lot of history behind the whole Scouting tradition as well. So I just wanted to quickly talk through, so some of the things, the reason I brought these up was just so these are two of the things, so the Scout Oath, and we also talk about the Scout Law. And so the Scout Oath is about, I think is very important for us to just quickly go through. And if you've got any questions about it, I think it'd be a good time to ask them. Basically, it's I will do my best. So this is one of the key things that we're teaching the boys, is really to actually, no matter what happens, is just to do their best to try and actually help them to make sure that they are, achieving what they can. Also, the Scout Oath goes on to do my duty to God and my country. Obviously, we're in Shanghai. We're all from lots of different countries. So this is the Boy Scouts of America. So this is focused on the American flag and focused on America as the country. And then to obey the Scouts law, which is, we will go over in a second. Some of the other key things, to help other people at all times. So I think this is really what we're trying to get to on with the leaders, is really, it's about, and we'll go through this, is really about volunteering. And it's all about volunteering. The Scouts is all about volunteering. So it's not just about the kids, it's also about the adults as well, that we're helping each other. We're all here to help each other. And I think it's been, I've only been with the Scouts for a year, but I think it's been fantastic to work with all the other parents in the group as well, through the voluntary program here. So this is the Scouts Oath, but this is not just for the kids, it's also for the parents. And I feel strongly about that as well. And to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. So key rules for the kids and ourselves as well, moving forward. Scout law wise, so there's quite a lot to get through, so I'm going to kind of jump through it quickly, but I do say, if you do want to disturb me, please just, ask a question. So the Scout law is about, a Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And these are things that actually come up a lot when we're actually going through all the different areas. And these are things that we help to build into and get the boys really understanding, get the Cubs really understanding what each of these actually mean. As they're kind of going through programs. And this is something you just don't really learn out, it's not something you would learn in school. It's something that's really about social etiquette. And I think this is one of the key aspects as well with Scouts, is helping with that, with those sort of areas. So this is going to be I'm going to quickly go over the roles and responsibilities. So we're focused today on the den leader and assistant den leader, and it's really about organizing the kids and the parents. So one of the things we found is that is not only are the den leaders really sort of helping to get the kids involved with all the programs, but also helping the parents to get involved with the thing, because they're there to help you as well. As a den leader, they are part of your resources, and I'll touch on that later, but they are part of your resources. So if you help to get them organized, they can help you to run these dens as well. And then it becomes a very interactive experience as well with everybody involved. And then probably the number one, on top of that, the next really focus is planning the meetings. And that's very straightforward. So based on the requirements and electives. So myself, I sit as the advancement chair on the PAC committee. And so we will be going through this later on. Once you're on board as a den leader, we will go through all of these, and I'll touch on this in a minute on the resources to be able to achieve that. And then I think key things are getting inventive in line with the founding of Scouts, and what it was all about was really getting inventive about how the kids and the boys learn all these skills that just aren't really taught in school. It's really about learning all those extracurricular skills. So getting inventive and interactive with it. And obviously a key point, keep it fun as a leader. So resources wise, as a den leader, each rank, so there's 5 ranks that we work with. So the 5th one would be Arrow of Light, which is part of the Weeblos. So at the 5th year. So we start off with the Tigers. And so these are handbooks that are actually provided to all the boys, and so they can take those home and be able to work with them as well. And so we have the Tigers, the Wolves, the Bears, the Weeblos. And then also there are resources like usscouts.org where they can actually print out each part. So within each of the handbooks and each of the ranks, there is electives and requirements. And one of those, for example, for Wolves here, you'll see it's red, is Pause on the Path. So this is a printout that you can, for that particular meeting, you print out, and that's what you can go through with the boys and the parents to be able to achieve that. I asked Dan, if Dan's there, just to kind of give a further outline on the handbook here and the printouts. Yeah. So sorry, quick introduction. Okay. Dan is den leader. He was a Tiger den leader last year. He's now a Wolf den leader this year. He is den 3. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, what you've got there is the handbooks, and the den leader has a handbook which basically walks you through the requirements for each elective or each requirement. So it basically provides an outline and a structure for each meeting. It provides a good amount of resource for you to keep the meeting fun, and some games and some recommendations. I typically supplement those recommendations with some additional stuff I find from like Google and find on the web, just to, again, keep it fun and keep the kids interested in what we're trying to do. Wherever possible, I try and take the boys outside and make them sort of outdoor activities as far as possible. But yeah, the handbook is super useful, and it really keeps the structure in place. So it's not as though you have to turn up to a meeting and create all the games and everything you need to do in order to complete the requirement. It's pretty well laid out, and I've got to say it's a really well structured course, and the materials provided are excellent. So when you come in, because I'm new to Cub Scouting, I didn't do it as a child, and it wasn't really part of my family life growing up, so it was all fairly new to me. But the resources provided were great. They helped provide us the structure. So when you're going into it, you don't have to create everything from scratch. We've also got a fair amount of resource from the Tiger Den leaders from last year that can provide support as you guys move into your roles and need some help in structuring some things. We can make recommendations. So we've got quite a good group of people supporting the Den leaders as we move forward. So you have the practical resources of the Den leader handbooks. You also have a decent amount of support from other Den leaders. And as a group, it works quite well. So again, it is very well structured. You don't have to create everything. So I don't know if there's any questions at the moment about any of the resources you require or any concerns you have about resources, but I'm happy to help.
Thanks, Dan. So just we'll touch more on this. So one of the things is that there is a big group of Den leaders that have done either because what happens is that with the Den leaders is they start off as tigers, and because you're the Den leader typically with your own child, and then as your child moves up, you are also moving up with the Den. So you move from tiger to wolf to bear to weeblo and arrow of light as well. So all the Den leaders that are wolf, bear, weeblo, and AOL, arrow of light, they have done the tiger role or they've done the wolf role and so on. So all of these guys are there. We've got, I'll touch on a few aspects here on resources as well. So we've got quite a few things like the WeChat groups that we have. So you can ask questions with the WeChat groups. The PAC committee is also very involved with what's going on. We don't actually have a photo of the PAC committee, so I've got them as a silhouette system here. But essentially, I'm part of the PAC, Chris is part of the PAC committee, Rob here as well. So we are basically working behind the scenes. We are not up front and center, which is where the Den leaders are in front of the kids and sort of helping out. But we're very much working in the background, and hence the silhouette, to help you guys be able to achieve everything you need to achieve with your community. So with our background and our experience, yes, only a year, but it's a year more than than a lot of people. So. But Chris here has been, what, 5 years? Chris, what is it? 5 years. So there's a lot of guys here that have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge on what to do and how it can be done. So with the WeChat groups, with the PAC committee, these are some of the areas that we can really work on. And then, as I mentioned, sort of other Den leaders and assistant Den leaders as well. And I would recommend, if as Den leaders, to also recruit an assistant Den leader to really help you through that program as well. So to support you with the whole leadership role. And it just takes a lot of responsibility off you as well to be able to get that together. Or essentially you're working as a team to be able to help that to get that done. Okay, so these are some of the resources. These are, I'm just going to go through, there's quite a lot. We have also is, there's a website called My Scouting, which is part of the whole Scout Book group, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is all online, provides a complete training program for you. So one of the things that we, as a Den leader, you would initially have to do is a youth protection training. And so, which lasts for about 2 years. So this is one of the first things you do, but there's lots of activities here whereby, let me just close my screen up. So basically you've got lots of different programs that you can do training on. It's all online. It's all video based, or sort of like a slide. It's like a presentation with videos. And so it goes through, and there's actually a little exam at the end of each one of them. So you actually have to work towards achieving each of the aspects that you are doing. And so these are some of the things that can help you to understand better. And these are, to get you started. They're not, some of them, I mean, to get a Cub Master training, yes, it's 117 hours, but that's it. It's 117 hours. I think that's not a huge amount to be able to do it. I'm not sure what the Den leader training time is off the top of my head, but anyway, but it's not a huge amount of time to be able to get that training done, and it
just
gives
not to scare anybody, in case you're thinking of doing the Cub Master training, as I did last year. It's 117 minutes, not hours.
Yeah, sorry, did I say hours?
I
I didn't. Yeah, minutes. So yeah, 170 minutes, not a huge amount of time out of a year, to be honest. Not necessarily a week, a day, but actually out of a year, to be able to get yourself educated and understanding. So again, one of the key aspects of the training the resources that are available to you for the training. And then also Scout Book. Now, Scout Book is basically helps you to track. So you'll see here Den 3, Daniel here, who just talked, is the Den leader, then Jonathan is the assistant Den leader. And basically this keeps track, this enables you to keep track of all your cubs, but also all your achievements and all the electives and requirements that you have done. And so some of the facts, and so you can see the dates when they've been done, and actually you can put more detail into here. There's aspects where there's photos you could add. So these are great things that to help you keep track of everything that's been done over the year as well. Okay. And as you can see, you can do it on your mobile through an app. You can also do it online with a website. Other resources are the parents themselves. So I love this photo because this is a great photo. This actually shows, it's not just about you leading the group. It's about, and I talked about it earlier, it's really also organizing the parents and helping them to get involved with their kids and helping them to help them through the whole process. So as I say, one of the important parts, if you can get the parents involved, it helps you significantly with handling all the different things that are going on with each of the meetings. So then it makes your job really more focused on just getting the meetings organized, and the parents can help you get the kids organized as well. Okay.
Hey, Mark, can I just say, it isn't a drop-off activity, and I think most people may know that, but I think it's worth reiterating. The expectation is that the parents will be involved, and we're lucky we've had a great group, and I think most of the dens have had a great group of parents who've turned up and are willing to get involved and get their hands dirty and help run the meetings and support the meetings as well. But yeah, it's not a drop off. So the expectation is, as a volunteer organization, everyone chips in. And I know, Mark, during our meetings, we've had parents provide snacks, and we've done that in a rota. We've had different contributions based on different skill sets. So it's worked out quite well. But yeah, as a den leader, you're not expected to do it all by yourself, and that delegation activity is pretty important.
And I think one thing to say as a parent as well, I mean, I'm not necessarily involved in the den meetings, but as a parent, being involved in the den meetings really adds a lot of value as well for me as a parent, to be able to spend that time with my son and those activities as well. So it's good for if the den leader can manage those parents to get in and make sure that the parents really get a lot out of it as well. So it's for them as a benefit. But I see Luca's yawning at what you're saying, Dan, in this photo. Anyway,
quite frequently. But a quick clip around the ear and he wakes up.
Yeah. And then as for the parents as well, there's a scouting app. So the parents can actually log in themselves. So as I talked about with the Scout Book, you put that information in, and then it will all appear on the scouting app for the parents themselves. So the parents can come in, and also, so this is a resource for the parents, whereby the parents can come in and actually see who is doing what, what their son has been doing, what he's achieved, and all the aspects that have been, the electives and the requirements that have been achieved to do that as well. And this also includes things like hikes and activities and all the outdoor activities as well. Okay. Other roles are basically, again, emphasizing the fact that this is a volunteer group. The silhouette group in the background that I mentioned earlier, there are other roles. So myself as a advancement chair, Chris and Rob as Cub Master. So all the different roles that are available. We do also need volunteers as well. And so not only for den leaders, if den leader is not something that you want to do necessarily, there is plenty of other things that are that we would love support on, which is, and these are some of the areas where we're looking for people to be able to do that. Also, as a den, if you are on as a den leader, then and an assistant den leader, then we would ask if you could help identify people, some of the parents that might be interested in doing some of this work as well. So these are some of the, once you're on board, then we can talk through all of the details for this. But just to give you an idea, they also give you a ridiculously large shirt as well as part of the package. So I think just sort of rounding up, essentially it's an exciting year. Basically, we have so many activities that go on. It is very much doing things that aren't necessarily done within the normal school environment. And it's done as a big group as well. So we have PAC committee, we have den meetings, which are usually held once every 2 weeks. And then we have PAC committees, which PAC activities, which you'll see one here. So this was from September last year. And our first one will be September this year, end of September this year, where we are looking to get everybody together. And it's really just, it's a learning experience. Everybody needs to learn on how it can be, to go through all the electives. And so I think one of the things, touching back on the handbook, is really that, and what Dan was saying is really that framework. The scouting, it's been around since 1908. It's created a fantastic framework. It's got a history of creating this framework to enable the kids to really learn and enjoy through inventive play aspects on all these different activities that they can work with. So I just wanted to play this video.
Let's hear it for Tiger Den 3! Yeah!
Helpful, friendly, courteous.
Video to show what's actually, basically all the activities that happen over the year. And this is all for, basically the grand price of about 2,600 RMB. So I think this is a fantastic, probably the cheapest thing you could do in Shanghai right now as far as activities goes, but it only works because of the volunteering that happens. And so that's why we're doing this session now. This is why we're talking to people. I mean, when my son joined Scouts, I wasn't a PAC den leader. I was an assistant den leader, and I got asked to join one of the outings activities, and then I was making recommendations, suggestions on that, and that's when Chris approached me and asked me to help with the advancement group. And I was, at the time, I was very nervous. I was interested in being a den leader at the time, but I was very nervous about being a den leader at the time. This was, a year ago, and I wasn't sure. So I thought it was important that this year that we really sort of emphasized all the details, the resources that are available, the information that's available, the team that's there behind you as a den leader to be able to achieve all of these activities. And we achieved a huge amount over the last 12 months with the Rain Gutter Regatta, the Pinewood Derby, all the different hikes, the camping, the 2 camping events. And even, we've done more as a den and actually developed a lot as a den as well within our group. So as a PAC and a group, it really does require the volunteers to be able to do that, which is why I felt that it was important to be able to do this session today, trying to do that. And then just from my point of view, sorry.
No, go on, mate. No.
Yeah, so I was just going to finish. Yeah, I was just going to finish off rewards, best rewards possible. bonding with your family. I think it was an important time for me to spend that hour and a half, 2 hours with my son on a Sunday morning, and really sort of get that time to be able to go through things, which again, I keep repeating myself, but that just wouldn't normally be done. I wouldn't think about, I wouldn't really consider necessarily. And these are things that go into that. So bonding with my son, and then also bonding with the other like-minded parents that are in the den, and also with my son bonding with the den itself. So all the other boys. So really kind of creating a den, a small group atmosphere. And then the second reward is getting out of your comfort zone as well, doing things you wouldn't normally do, which I touched on quite a few times. But then also on the third point, I thought was also very, very important, is learning. I think, and Dan probably would emphasize this as well, is just learning from the cubs themselves, and also the other den leaders and the packs and the parents, the pack committee and the parents as well. So Dan, did you want to add on a thing?
Yeah, so just as a den leader, I would reiterate a lot of those points. I think that you're absolutely right. You know, that time we spend with our boys on a Sunday morning is really important. And again, we only have that small window where it's still acceptable before we become the most embarrassing parents in the world. So we have that window that we've got to lean into. But I mean, there's no getting away from the fact that this is a volunteer organization, and the fact that, you know, when I spoke to Chris about it, you know, if there aren't den leaders, it doesn't happen. So the people on this call, you have to step up and get involved, and it's a great opportunity. I would say being a den leader has been extremely rewarding for me and my son. But you got to step up, because without you guys, it just doesn't. It won't manifest in dens that can attract kids, and you can have those experiences. So again, it's really good. I've enjoyed it a lot. We're here to support you, but and I hope this session is going to help you guys make the decision to become den leaders, because it's really good, and I highly recommend it. But you know, it requires people to step up.
Yeah, I think one final thing that I just wanted to mention from myself, from my experience, was I found it very funny, because when my son discovered that I was on the pack committee or involved with the leadership on Scouts, he was very proud of me. And so he was like, you know, chest out, kind of like, oh yeah, daddy's on the on the pack committee. And not that he knew what that meant, but it was quite funny, because I would be on a phone call like this, doing a call like this, maybe sort of October time last year, and he would come up and go, "Daddy, is that Scouts?" And he's like, "No, it's work." And he's like, "Oh," and he sounded really disappointed. So it was just like he just wanted me to do Scouts all the time. He didn't want me to do the normal job and the normal work. So I thought that was quite just an interesting point. Just, you know, to have my son very proud of what I was doing, to the extent where he's embarrassed about my work, but that's fine. But I think that was just another takeaway that I got from my experience being involved as well. Anyway, so just looking at some questions. So the only real question we got is, do the parents have to take the Scout oath? Who wants to take that question? Chris?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so the boys, as part of their very first achievement they do, which is called the Bobcat, they memorize with help the Scout law and the Scout oath, and we have a couple other things, a handshake. Parents don't have to learn this by heart, but because all of our parents are so involved in the pack and in your dens as the den leaders, they'll learn it. And they usually, if you know it, you say it. So, but there's not a test or a quiz.
Hey, I'd just like to add something to this. This is Daniel from Den 8 and on the PAC Committee for Recruitment. So what I would like to add is just next steps. So I see some of the people on this call, and I think we've been in discussions with you for den leader roles and for forming new dens. So the next step will be, I'll be speaking to you for the setup of the new den. we'll put together a group of which you'll be, the den leader, the leader of the group. And then we, based on, if you've got any friends that your son is of the same age and therefore same rank, you can invite them in. And then we have a list of people that are interested of joining our pack this year. And then based on, where they live geographically, we'll gradually be adding a couple of boys into, or a couple of parents into that group for the forming of that den. And then when that den is pretty much formed, then the discussion of, when is the meeting, where is the meeting, and that really, like I said, comes down to the den leader. It's the benefit of the den leader. They could have it at their house, they could have it at their office, they could have it at a convenient location to them, to themselves. And at the same time, we've got a lot of other activities happening, whether it be, taekwondos and kung fu's and swimming classes and piano and whatnot. So, if your child is fully packed out on a Saturday, then I imagine you're going to decide to have your den meeting on a Sunday. And again, as den leader, you get an extremely large voice in the say of that structure and schedule. And if you would like to meet every Sunday or every Saturday, once a week, that's up to you. As long as the people in your den are happy with that, that's great. Or if you want to meet every, twice a month or 3 times a month, again, that really is down to you, of which, we'll discuss it with you and we'll coach you through that. So those are just the next steps that we hope to finish literally within the next week or so.
Thank you, Daniel. Just very quickly from me, for the den leaders, if you haven't provided this information to Daniel or to our Cub Master Rob, if you've been thinking about when would be the times ideally that your den would be meeting, both the frequency and is it a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon, the specific times, or if you have a couple options, if you could provide that to Rob and Daniel, that will help with what Daniel was talking about right at the populating the den with the right people, because it really should be what works for you, and then the families commit and agree to come to your meetings. And so one of the things that we work really hard on is making sure that the parents, the Cub Scouts that would join your den, are clear up front. When are the meetings? And they say, yeah, we don't have a conflict. We don't have football at that time or tennis at that time. We're Cub Scouts at that time. So if you can be thinking about that and let Rob and Daniel know, that'll help in what they're doing if you haven't already.
I know you guys are new to this. We're here to give you advice and experience. I've run through quite a few things, but I think one of the key aspects I hope you can take away is that there is a lot of support behind you for doing this role. And so it shouldn't be, it does take some effort, but if you get your kids and your parents organized, and then it's really just down to those meetings. But again, those resources behind you can really help you just get things organized fairly quickly as well. So it shouldn't take too much of your time.
Okay.
Then do we need to just reiterate that time is of the essence, right? We need to get these things set up as soon as possible, I guess.
Do you want to set a deadline there?
Well, I think that as Daniel mentioned, we'll be reaching out. We've already been reaching out to some of these the incoming den leaders. So we'll be reaching out over the next day and into the next week to get the dens formed and get other cubs placed in the dens. So that's something that Daniel and I hope to have done within the week.
Kiwi, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I have one last question. I'm curious about the diversity in terms of religion in the pack. Is it almost all Christian, or is there a lot of diversity?
Daniel Bergbaum, would you want to take that one?
Sure, I'll take that on. We're a very diverse group. I think at the beginning of this, Mark mentioned about some of the oaths. and mentioned about that we are part of Boy Scouts of America. There are Boy Scouts of the UK, Boy Scouts of various other countries. So there is that factor where you place the oath of duty to God, but that is not Christian only. Whatever faith or belief you have is fine. There are some people that are not very religious, and it is certainly not forced upon them. It is not a religious organization in that sense. And specifically in the den that I was part of last year, apart from the Scout oath, that's literally was the only mention that we had of any kind of faith or religion. I said I would like to guess that there's the Jewish people in the group, there are Hindus, there are Christians, there's a complete different mixes of faiths. And I think some people, many people are maybe not even practicing the faith that they were even born into.
So just to add to that is part of the requirements is one of the belt loops stroke badges is related to religion. But what we've done in the past, and Daniel Fitzsimmons can give a bit more information on this, was actually to look at all the different religions and to show that there are different religions and educate the boys on those different religions, as opposed to just focusing on one particular religion. And I think that was that's one way to approach it.
Yeah, that's what we did. I don't hold a religion myself, but in terms of addressing that requirement within the Tiger rank, we made it about diversity and inclusivity. So we had a discussion about, there are various different religions. They all have their place, and we should know about them. So it was more of an introductory activity for the boys to explain that these things are out there, and it became a more of a discussion activity.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, this is Sean. Do we know how many incoming scouts are we expecting for each grades?
We do, as of right now. We have about roughly 47 cubs returning from last year across the 4 ranks above Tiger. And I think we've had just shy of about 30 applicants to join the pack. And our ability to get all of the applicants placed in a den depends on our ability to have den leaders who step up so that there's dens for them to come into. Typically the dens could in theory go up to 8 or 10 cubs, but in practice most den leaders like to keep their dens around 6 at most, just because it's more manageable. You can have a den of 1, but so that's just a little overview of the numbers in terms of incoming cubs.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
Maybe I could ask a follow-up question. So Sean and I are thinking about cooperating a den in our, because we're geographically close to each other. We're in Minhang. So what's the ratio of Tiger applicants to den leaders right now?
I think we have about 10 or 12 Tiger applicants. And if it goes as it did last year, we'll probably get more as parents get into the school year, then they start thinking about this. So we might have some more Tigers and parents coming on board through September. Our official deadline for new applicants is September 30. So we still have over 3 weeks to go for that.
Okay. Thanks.
So if you have, just on that, if you have friends who are considering getting their kids into your dens, then we would ask, because of the times we really need to get the dens sewn up, So we would ask them to get that done fairly quickly to be able to get those groups organized, get the whole dens organized and started off. Okay, because the sooner you guys get started, the more and organized, the better it's going to be for the cubs as well.
I think we will figure out more details.
Yeah.
Well, they can say
Any other questions or comments from Chris or Rob? Do you want to add anything more?
Nothing from me. I just want to thank the den leaders that are coming on board. We look forward to working with you. On behalf of all of us, we're really excited. At the start, it can be kind of there's a lot of information to absorb, but this is a lot of fun, this organization, and we're really glad you're here.
Yeah, looking forward. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I look forward to working with you guys on this. And again, no dumb questions. Use the resources that we've got. And I will be basically myself. I will be helping you look at the requirements and the electives. So I'll be talking to you about how we can you can achieve those sort of things. But I would highly recommend you lean on, and I will set up. My plan is to set up a small sort of brainstorming stroke mentoring session so if you're coming in as a Tiger Den leader with previous Tiger Den leaders, if you're coming in as a wolves or a bear, we'll set up sort of brainstorming sessions with experienced leaders from those different ranks to be able to enable you. So I want to do that sort of September, October time, so you can really sort of understand that. So one of the things I would highly recommend is to have a look through your the cub book, the handbook that you have, and have a look through all those. And then also with the websites, I can share this with you so you can have a look, or share some of the links with you so you can start having a look at those websites and getting some ideas on what you would like to do. And yeah, get creative, get inventive, and really interact. Really, to get the boys really involved and the parents involved, get some real interaction going. And as Dan mentioned earlier, get outside as much as you can. That's what the boys seem to really love.
Hey, just quickly before we sign off, I misspoke a minute ago. The deadline for applicants is the 25th of September, not the 30th.
And on that, I think Mark mentioned it, but please put in your calendars two things that we're trying to do. Sunday, we don't normally do things on Sunday, but we're forced to this year. Sunday, September 19th, we are going to do a leadership meeting where we go through the nuts and bolts of some of the things Mark talked about in more detail. It'll be a Sunday morning, information to come. And Cub Master Rob mentioned, yeah, the deadline of September 25th, that's our first pack event. We will be meeting at a park for a 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. event on September 25. So please start clearing your schedules for Cub Scouts for those 2 dates.
And by the way, follow up on that pack event, would that be the first session for kids to get their uniform, their books, all that stuff?
Yeah, guys, I'll take that one. So what we hope, Sean, is if we have your den formed like in the next week, give or take, then one of us from the pack committee will ask you for t-shirt uniform orders. In fact, the screen that is up right now with those orange shirts, those were our t-shirts from last year. We are endeavoring to have the shirts ordered and delivered at the pack event. But we got to move quickly because we haven't printed them yet because we We ask for sizes and things like that. The other things that you would get by the first pack event, actually, that's probably all. The reason is we will collect dues. And once your den is formed, myself or another member of the pack committee will send you the uniform ordering. The actual, what we call the Class A, the official uniforms, those have to be ordered, and they take about 6 weeks to arrive. So for the first month or month and a half, new scouts tend to wear their t-shirts. We also wear our t-shirts when the weather's just really hot. And then you'll have the uniform. Handbooks, at a minimum, we'll be able to have a leader guidebook to you and at least 1 or 2 handbooks. Those are on order. If not, the handbook for every member of the den, but at least you'll have some of that collateral to start working with.
Okay, thank you.
So one of the things that, and why we would, be very good for you to guys to be there on the 19th for the leadership program would be to run through. So we would run through a typical den meeting to show you how you should really structure a den meeting moving forward. So that will just give you some ideas on what you can do. Everybody runs den meetings slightly differently, not a problem. But just to give you some ideas on what that you could do to help you engage with the kids quickly and get them involved as quick as possible as well. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
I have no more questions.
Neither.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
evening.
Good to see you all.
You
Talk to you all
too.
soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.